Alright, what's going on everyone, and welcome back to another breakdown video. So today we're gonna go over the setup that I took this morning. We took 3 trades and we unfortunately lost all 3 of them, which we're down -3% for the entire week. So I'm gonna give you guys the breakdown of the first setup that we took, which was basically a buy stop. We attempted 2 buy stop basically after the move that happened during the New York session, which was during the news session, which was CPI. That CPI did come out positive, right? We pretty much did see a very bullish impact with gold, which gave me multiple reasons why to take some buy setups, right? And the last trade that we end up taking today was a selling position, which unfortunately took us out of stop loss, and it did drop a little bit lower, which we could have gotten break even, which was this point right over here, but it took us out of stop loss before actually giving us that entire move, right? Now, the first trade, it did over 100 pips, which was take profit 2, right? Now obviously following our rules, we always go break even at take profit 3. This point over here, I was looking for price action to actually close above this exact level, which is the 46.34, to go break even, but price action just pretty much failed to continue pushing higher. So that's exactly why I never went to go break even, and I did end up closing this out, where basically we did close out this trade a little bit earlier than actually getting stopped out of stop loss. So if, right, like I told you guys right here, like if we have a nasty rejection towards the upside, I'm closing out this trade early with a negative 50 pip stop loss, right? So we end up taking this loss here. We attempted another buy stop, which ended up hitting take profit 1 for 50 pips. Not part of our trading plan. We usually go break even, either take profit 2 or 3. This case over here, price action just continued pushing lower, which we end up getting stopped out, and then again attempting the last trade, which was the sell stop. So we're gonna start off from a higher time frame perspective, which is basically the daily time frame, right? So looking at the daily time frame, going off from the beginning of this week market open, right? Market open of the beginning of this week was pretty much bullish, right? We had a very nice bullish candle breaking towards the upside, breaking above all of this entire previous structure, forming new all-time highs, right? So obviously we all understand that gold is in a very much bullish market structure, right? Now, dropping here towards a 4-hour time frame, right? We can see that after yesterday nice bullish move towards the upside, once we form a new high, which is around the 46.30, notice how price action had a pullback exactly at this zone right over here, which is going to be this exact demand zone that happened during the late Asian session going into the London session on Monday night, right? And then notice how price action pretty much had some nice bullish reaction towards this level, which we did see price action pushing higher, right? So we can see that after this nice bullish move towards the upside, we did see pretty much a bearish move back towards the downside. We tap into this exact demand zone. Price action was just pretty much consolidating until we had the CPI news that happened this morning at 8:30 in the morning. And we also had a nice 4-hour break of structure, which is this exact areas of resistance, which was holding during the entire London session, right? The entire London session, if you guys go here in the 4-hour time frame, you guys can also see how this is all previous 4-hour highs. So basically, if you guys go right over here, we have a nice impulse towards the upside. We had a pullback towards this demand, price action was consolidating, and then we finally had the break of structure. Boom. So this was all off the 4-hour time frame, right? And if you guys go here on the 1-hour time frame, pretty much we had a similar move, which was, coming back towards this demand, consolidating, and then boom, we had another break of structure towards the upside, right? Which was the ideal move of what we were looking for. Now, going here inside the Telegram, when we go into the first setup that we took this morning, right? This is basically the plan. This is what I sent you guys here as a analysis. I said this is exactly what I'm going to be waiting for before entering the market. Go ahead and aggressive push into the key resistance zone. So at this point here, taking a trade will be very high risk, because again, price action came back towards these areas of resistance, right? We don't want to be entering a trade right away, especially after we had a nice aggressive move. So at this point over here, we just have to be cautious and just wait for price action to give us an actual direction before taking an entry, right? Because we understand that this was all support. We understand that we had a 4-hour bullish, right? Which is giving us already good bullish confirmation. But notice how price action came back towards this resistance. Usually whenever price action comes back towards resistance, we are expecting some selling opportunities, right? So that's exactly why we need to be a little bit patient and just wait for price action to give us the actual break of structure, which was the idea that I was anticipating this morning to continue taking these entire buys. So going back here, I told you guys that, hey, to continue the bullish run, I want to see a clean break and retest above this exact number. which is 46.21, and price holding above, right? That right there will confirm us a good bullish move towards the upside. So take a look. This was all this entire New York session, right? We had a nice break of structure that happened right over here, which is the 4600, which is the 4-hour time frame areas of resistance. We came back towards these other supply zone, which once again, we did see some type of selling opportunity. That was an actual trade that we took during the London session that hit take profit 1 for 150. We got stopped out of break even with this trade, so we just moved on to the next trade. But this is basically the supply zone that we kind of sold off from early this New York session as well. But this point over here, notice how we had a nice push, we had a rejection, but then price action is coming back to 46.10. If you guys look towards the left side, you guys can see that 46.10 was previous areas of support. We had support here, we had support here, price action turned into resistance, we sold off, price action once again broke above, pulled back, build up a support here. So at this point here, we're just waiting for either a break towards the upside, which is going to be above this main exact resistance to continue the buys, or a price action to break underneath the 46.10 to give sell an opportunity, right? So this case over here, we're going back, let's go down towards the lower time frame, right? So right over here is exactly where we were able to take a trade. So 46.10, again, look towards the left side. You guys can see it is all an area of support, right? This is exactly where price action broke above. During CPI news, we had a pullback. We were in the sells around we were in sells at 46.15. We got stopped out of break even, but notice how price failed to continue pushing lower. That's the main reason why I did not continue to attempt that last sell. And then once price action pretty much formed this support, we were basically bouncing off from it, right? So all I was waiting for was for price action to break and retest above this exact zone or this exact key level, which is going to be these highs, right? If you guys look towards the left side, you guys can also see that we also have more highs right over here. So I was simply waiting for price action to give me that break, right? And that's exactly what we got. Once we got this nice bullish engulfing candle breaking towards the upside, all we waited for was for price action to pull back, making sure that it can continue holding above this exact level, which is the 46.10, and you guys can see how price action basically just respected, right? So if you guys go a little bit lower to a 1 minute time frame, you guys can see how price action just respected all this entire bullish structure. And then we finally got the bullish move that we wanted. Boom, we got the nice break above structure, which this right here was our entry at 46.24. And then we did manage to hit our first two take profit, which is over 100 pips, right? Now, once we got that nice break of structure towards the upside, right? This is where it kind of get tricky because this is exactly why the setup did fail to continue pushing higher. So if you kind of go here into the 1 hour time frame and take a look at these notes right here. The 1 hour time frame broke and closed above the 46.17, right? Which is this nice bullish candle towards the upside. We broke above these entire highs. But if you guys take a look here on the 4 hour time frame, notice how on the 4 hour time frame, it was basically a fake out, right? 4 hour rejected towards the upside, which is most likely grabbing liquidity from all of these entire previous highs. And we closed underneath this exact resistance, showing us that sellers were pretty much protecting these zones. So one of the main reasons why this setup failed, right? So the 4 hour failed to continue breaking higher. So that was one of the ideas. Now, I was looking to enter a potential second opportunity only if price action would have break and retest above these highs, which we got the break. So if you guys kind of pretty much highlight these highs right over here, we got the break towards the upside. We did see that price action kind of pulled back. We had another bullish reaction, but most likely the best entry would have been above these highs over here to give buy a second opportunity. But notice how price action just failed, and then boom, we got stopped out of stop loss. Boom. So this was the first trade that we got out. We end up taking our losses at negative 50 pips, which is somewhere right over here. Once price action pretty much we had this strong 5-minute bearish candle towards the downside. So that's exactly where we exited out the trade. Now, once we saw this huge sell-off towards the downside, right, we came back to the same exact level, 46.10, right? So again, we broke underneath the 46.10. If you guys come back here towards the Telegram, you guys can see that for the second sell opportunity, we need a clear break of structure below the 46.10 with a candle closure underneath. That will confirm that momentum is shifting to potential selling opportunities, right? So this right here is the exact zone that I was looking to continue sells, which is the 46.10. So we had the nice break. We took the first buy attempt. This highs over here were pretty much just grabbing liquidity, faked us out, and then price action broke back underneath structure. 4610 was the only zone that I was anticipating taking these sells. I was not interested in taking any sells over here. I was more interested in taking sells once we actually broke underneath structures, right? So this case over here, if you guys take a look at these exact candles, you guys can clearly see how these candles here on the 5-minute time frame, if you kind of go here on the 15-30-minute time frame, you guys can clearly see how this was all simply liquidity grab towards the downside. Liquidity grab all from this exact bullish fair value gaps right over here, right? So this is another reason why I was interested in taking another buy position, right? So if you guys kind of take this off, let me just show you guys. We had a pullback, grabbing back liquidity from these exact lows, and we closed above structure, which is ideal for us, right? We closed back above the 4610, which is exactly what I wanted. So once we close back above what I was looking for, we go back here on the 5-minute time frame. All I was simply waiting for was for a bullish candle break and retest above these minor structure, which is going to be these high or this previous lows right over here, which is this candle, which was a good confirmation for me. So this is where I got my second opportunity to enter the market, which is going to be right after price action just grabbed liquidity towards the downside, respected all of these entire lows right over here, which is all simply a bullish fair value gap. And then we also had the break of structure towards the upside, once again closing above here. And then this right here was my basically confirmation, which is this bullish candle. Boom. We took this trade. We waited for price action to retest zone, and we had a buy stop above. We entered the buy stop, and as you guys can see, we did see the nice push towards the upside, which we did end up hitting take profit 1. But again, failed to continue pushing higher, so we got stopped out of stop loss with this trade. Now, all of these trade here, it was basically traded with a plan. We did not just trade off the zones of emotions, which is basically planned all of this entire trade, but the probability wasn't with us at the moment, right? And as well, if you guys take a look towards the left side, we were basically taking a trade underneath this exact area's resistance, which kind of made it a little bit risky, but the probabilities were always going to be there, right? Now, this trade would have played out very nice only if price action would have actually broken retest above the 46.24. So we got stopped out of this trade, and as you guys can see, price action continued pushing lower. We came back to retest this exact 4-hour break of structure, right? So if you guys kind of take out this here, you guys can see this nice long wick towards the downside, which pretty much got entire liquidity from this exact imbalance candle right here after the break of structure above these entire 4-hour highs, right? So check this out. This is the 4-hour break of structure. Going here on the 1-hour time frame, we can see that price action had a deeper pullback, grabbed liquidity, and once again closed above, right? So that from right there, I was not interested in taking another position, just wanted to wait a little bit longer to see if we would have gotten a better confirmation, right? So after we took both of these losses, we go back here into Telegram and I send out another analysis. So let's go back here to the second analysis. So right here, the sell-off did not automatically mean a trend change, right? On the higher time frame, price is still holding above the 45.80 support, right? And then structure remained bullish. We also saw a price break above structure 4-hour time frame, right? So check this out. This was all during the New York session. This is exactly the retest that I'm talking about. We had the break, we had the pullback, retesting the structure, right? So you guys can take a look right here. So we have liquidity, perfect reaction towards it, and a nice bullish push towards the upside. So from here, I'm only looking for one more potential buys opportunity for bullish continuation, right? We need to see a break above the 30-minute highs, which is the 46.17, which is all of these highs right over here. So for me to continue taking a buy position at this point over here, I would like to see price action to actually break and retest above these highs, which is going back here on the 30 minutes, which is all of this entire 30-minute highs. So that would be the only way that I would have liked to take this entire buy position, right? But notice how price action, once we had this bullish reaction, we came back to trade inside these ranges, right? The range between 46.10 to 46.20. So we can say it's like a 100 pip range, right? And we did not want to be focusing and trading inside these ranges because notice how it's very undecisive, right? Price action has to move towards the upside and then it has the opposite move towards the downside, right? So obviously this is choppy price action. So we grabbed liquidity from here, makes sense. We had a nice push towards the upside. There was no bullish confirmation for us. Our bullish confirmation for us would have simply been above the 46.20. So we avoided this trade, right? Now, I was looking for sells. Once again, going back here in the Telegram. I'm not interested in sells unless price shows us a real weakness from the upside And for the sell setup, I need to see a clean break and retest underneath the 45.94, which is all it is. So basically, I would like to see price action break and retest. Would have been high risk once again because we're trading above these highs here, right here. So you guys can see this is all demand where price action had a bullish reaction. This is the main reason why price action is still very much bullish, because we're still maintaining above this entire support. But again, probabilities would have been there if we pretty much rejected off of these entire highs and price action was building up bearish structure. All we were simply waiting for was for the next break, retest, and then we continue to trade, right? But unfortunately, that was not the case for us. We did get the nice move that we wanted. We came back inside these ranges. We got our entry candle, which is this one here. We set up our sell stop. But notice how price action, once we got active in this trade, we basically grabbed liquidity from this exact zone, and then price action strike back towards the upside. We got stopped out of stop loss, and then notice how price action once again pretty much rejected off and then continued selling off, right? So here, we probably would have gotten out. We would have definitely hit take profit 3 for 150 pips, but took us out of stop loss before giving us the move that we wanted. It would have been a break-even trade. At the end of the day, it was not a good setup. We should have waited a little bit more, or basically we should have just avoided this entire trade, because again, this is basically a range trade, right? Price is undecisive. We're either breaking towards the up or we're either breaking towards the downside, right? But we could have saved ourselves here if price action actually gave us the first move, then taking us out of stop loss, right? Going a little bit deeper into this trade here, right? This is what I've noticed. Going a little bit deeper into this trade, once we had this nice bearish push towards the up downside, right, we basically came back to retest this entire broken structure, which could have been an entry potential for us, but that was not the plan that I was basically more interested in. I was more interested in taking sells underneath these exact zones, but this here could have offered us a better entry opportunity, which was basically the break retest of this broken structure, which would have been at 46.01, which was exactly where our stop loss was placed at. And then we would have basically sold off from there, right? So this could have been the trade like this. 46.01, our stop loss could have been right over here. And then notice how easily we could have gotten a nice, look how easily we could have gotten a nice setup. This trade here would have given us over 300 pips. Unfortunately, we did not take this trade. We took it a little bit underneath, which is the main reason why we just ended taking our stop loss from this point. And then again, notice how price action once again rejected off this major support zone. We had another bullish reaction from it. Boom, price broke back above. So now we technically took those 3 losses today, right? All of this trade here, we basically planned it. It was just not in our favor. So this was the setup that we took today. We lost money in the CPI, and we're hopefully going to recover this by tomorrow. I'm going to be pretty much active during the London session to see if they give us another better opportunity. But this was the 3 trades that we took this New York session. So that's pretty much it, guys. And I'll see you guys on the next one.